Speaking of rivalries, Kobe, LeBron, there is a lot of people in the NFL, Rob, are saying we got a new one. And Patrick Mahomes has been the best young quarterback in the league. Obviously, he's got a Super Bowl. He's got an MVP. And he's 67-16 against everyone else in the NFL. But he's 0-3 against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. And we saw it again on Sunday, Rob. Joe Burrow and the Bengals beat the Chiefs 27-24. They've now beaten them 3 times. All those 3 wins came this calendar year, Rob. Last year
in one calendar year, right?
Yep. And then in the playoffs, AFC Championship game. And so a lot of people are saying, okay, this is the rivalry. I mean, we don't know about Josh Allen versus Mahomes. We don't know about Lamar Jackson versus Mahomes. But this, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, it's a rivalry. What are your thoughts?
It's not a rivalry. It's lopsided. It's one-sided. In order to have a real rivalry, like there's got to be some give and take where one of the other teams, and I know it's a small sample size, but for one guy to be 3-0 in this matchup is pretty damn amazing. I say that it has the potential to be a rivalry, but I'm not on the rivalry bandwagon, not yet, because the Chiefs haven't been able to beat them. Mahomes have not been able to beat them, and that's pretty shocking when you think about the losses that they've had. The last year, Chris, that game in Cincinnati, I believe, where they came back. You remember in the second half? And beat them. I mean, that was like a shocking loss. The Chiefs had the game in control. And then in the postseason, they had a terrible second half. And then Mahomes threw the pick, that wound up for the game-winning field goal, I should say, for the Bengals. I'm just not, I believe, I know for a long time, the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, Chris, and it was a rivalry maybe years ago. And then, I don't know, Ohio State won now. 13 out of 14 while the Michigan's got the last 2. Right. But Ohio State had won the previous 5, right? I mean, so when you look at it, I'm not there yet. I think that Mahomes and them need to win a game against them before I'm ready to believe there's some rivalry here, because they've got them figured out for whatever reason. If you look at the second halves of the last 2 games, they were able to shut down Mahomes, which is surprising to me.
I disagree. And here's why. And I generally agree with your point that it has to be, some give and take. I mean, both teams, both sides have to win occasionally for it to be a rivalry. But here's where why I disagree with you on this one. Because Patrick Mahomes has achieved so much more than Joe Burrow. Like Patrick Mahomes, and they're both young. I mean, obviously Mahomes is a little older, but they're both, relatively early in their careers. And Mahomes has a Super Bowl and an MVP, a Super Bowl MVP as well, but a regular season MVP award as well. So to me, Rob, because he has achieved so much, and he's generally regarded as the best 1 or 2 quarterbacks in the NFL. And so I think because he's achieved so much more, and Burrow has not won a Super Bowl, Rob, Joe Burrow hasn't even been to a Pro Bowl. So to me, it is so, now you're right, they've won 3, beat them 3-0, right? But on the other hand, the accomplishments individually are so lopsided that I think that balances out the fact that Mahomes hasn't beat him. And it's only 3 games. It's not like he's 0-7 against him.
Yeah, but the only thing is, it's not a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's about those 2 going head-to-head. I get he's not in Mahomes' class because he hasn't gotten those things. But with the Super Bowl on the line, he was able to beat Mahomes in Kansas City. I give him a step up in their head-to-head competition. You're right. There's no one guy, Mahomes has a Super Bowl as an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. Joe Burrow doesn't have any of that. But against Mahomes, he's been able to come out on top. You saw Sunday when Mahomes and them scored, and you thought, that's ball game. It's over. Right? You thought it was over. And they weren't able to, obviously Mahomes wasn't on the field, but they were able to score and win the game. I just think that when you talk about a rivalry and you look at the two and how they've played against each other, I think Joe Burrow has played better than Mahomes in those meetings. I don't have all the numbers in front of me.
Sunday. He was better on Sunday. And the thing is this, though, and this is another reason why.
But you see what I'm saying? I'm not.
I mean, I generally agree with you got to have both sides win here and there. But like I said, because Mahomes has achieved so much as a younger quarterback, and because he's generally, not by everybody, but generally viewed as the best quarterback in the league, I do think that balances things out and makes it a little different. And Rob, it's not like Cincinnati's blowing them out. I mean, all three of those games have been decided by 3 points. 34-31 regular season last year, 27-24 the last two games. So I would say it's a rival. We kind of been looking too for who's that rival with Mahomes. I mean, Josh Allen, has beaten him in the regular season, but Mahomes has gotten him twice in the playoffs. Tom Brady has gotten him, obviously, with New England and with Tampa, but he's older. It's not really same kind of generation, if you will. And Lamar hasn't had the playoff success. They haven't even met in the playoffs. I think Burrow, I would say it's a budding rivalry, but it's certainly the closest. There's no one else, Rob, that would you say that do you think there's anyone else that is a rival?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I don't have anybody yet. I know it's heading there, Chris. All I'm saying, if the Bengals were to beat, say, the Chiefs again in the postseason, I'm just throwing it out, would you still think there's a rivalry?
I would, because let's say they meet in the AFC title game and the Bengals win again. Oh my God, Rob. Can you imagine what the talk is going to be? I mean, probably with the way, Brady's obviously older. Aaron Rodgers obviously older. Josh Allen will have failed again to lead his team to the, Super Bowl. Obviously, Justin Herbert hasn't panned out to what we've expected. Lamar has had two now okay years, pretty good years, but he's hurt again, second straight year. So I think they probably, Rob, those two would enter. And I know you got Jalen Hurts, but I still don't think people would say he's the best quarterback in the league, even if he wins the MVP. I think if Burrow beat Mahomes in the playoffs, people would go into next season saying these are the two. This is Brady Manning. These are the two best young quarterbacks. Yes, I mean, Burrow's gotten the best of him. And if he wins the Super Bowl, then it'll really be equal. But I will feel like, Rob, to be honest, it's even more so of a rivalry. Because if Mahomes beats him in the playoffs, and I don't know if but if he wins another Super Bowl and beats him in the playoffs this year, then it's gonna be like it ain't even, you know what I mean? Like, people will just write it off as, he beat him a few times, but Mahomes is way ahead of him.